Shalom, shalom. It's your favorite Aki. It's been about just over a week since I've been on. I figured I'd jump back on real quick with a hard truth. We're on this series, Embrace Being One of One. And there's some hard realities that I got to communicate to you that you already know, but I'm just going to put a voice to it in the form of a video now so you can have a point of reference that has been said, what's been going on internally inside of you. As you embrace this one-on-one, one of the hard truths you're going to have to come to understand and realize is that everybody won't love you as much as you love them. And I know it sounds kind of harsh to say, but it's a hard reality that you're going to have to accept, especially being one of one. Everybody is not going to love you as much as you love them. And knowing that still is not going to exempt you from the hurt of finding that out in real time. There's going to be times and seasons where you invest more in a relationship than you get in return. And there's going to be times and seasons where that season comes to an end and maybe that friendship, that relationships go dormant or it expires. And you're going to start reflecting like, how did I not see the signs early so I can prepare my heart, my mind, and everything for this hardship? Because that's what it is. It's a hardship. It's a harsh reality that when you embrace being one of one, there's no one like you. But the person that you're going to be in a relationship, and that relationship could be many different things. It could be parent-child. It could be your significant other. It could be friends or people that you have been acquainted with a long time that you call your friends. I know y'all went to the same school. You're from the same neighborhood. Y'all like the same things. So you put the title of friend on them, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're ready to embody that title or really to live up to that title to really be a friend. So the harsh reality is that you may find yourself in positions on where you love people or you have more invested than they have invested in you. So it'll be easier for them to walk away and cut you off because they weren't all the way invested in on you as you were with them. And that's a harsh reality that you're going to have to accept. And it's a reality that you're going to have to live out. And with that being said, this is not anti-relationship. Don't love anyone. It's not anti-friendship. Don't call people your friends. This is a pro-reality that this thing called life we're in, this human experience, is temporal. And just as temporal as this human experience, so are those relationships that you embark upon during this experience. So they may be for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And you're going to frustrate yourself trying to turn a reason into a season or a season into a lifetime. So you got to have the open hand mentality. Leave your hand open and your heart open. So those who are supposed to be in your life will be there. And those who are not, they'll find a way to the exit. And they may be waiting for a justification to execute what's already in their heart. And I'll say that again. They may be waiting on justification to execute something that's already in their heart. So there may be something you say, and 99 ways is going to be positive, and one way can be misinterpreted and taken wrong. And the people that's on close to the exit sign or moving a step closer to the exit sign, they're going to be ones that pick up that opportunity to take it wrong. They're going to ignore all the positive things that could have come out of what you said, and they're going to anchor in on something they did misinterpret. And they're going to start making indictments, allegations against you and all these things. And you just got to accept that that's their way of getting closer to the exit. There's no way you can explain yourself enough to those who are ready to leave. There's no way you can compromise enough to stay. Because if you compromise your values, your position, and you surrender being one of one to go into the thing called groupthink. Groupthink is where people just go along to get along. They may have a diversity train of thought, but at the same time, they don't want to communicate that because they understand to communicate that may mean they have to justify or explain or be rooted in their position of truth. So they'd rather just say, you know what, it's not a big deal. And that compromise comes at an expense. You may maintain the friendship, but you're going to lose yourself. And that's too expensive to pay for, at least if you're going to really embrace being one-on-one. You can't afford to pay that. You're going to have to allow people space and time to be them because they're one-on-one too. They get to decide what they want to do with their life, their time, their energy, their resources. They don't have to invest that back into you. And one of my biggest lessons that I had to learn is that I have a desire to help people more than they want to be helped. So sometimes, I was reading in 1 Thessalonians, the first chapter, it says you got to study to be quiet. And I'm studying now to let people reap the benefits of their decisions, either reward or punishment, and allow them to go through that. Sometimes I'll be trying to say stuff to people, and because I see 2, 3, 4 steps, 10 steps ahead, and I know the decision they're making is not going to yield the results that they want. So me thinking I'm being a good friend or being an advisor or being a mentor, I would go in and I would say stuff, say, hey, this is not going to yield the results you want. And then here it comes. Who do you think you are? You think you all that because you did this, and and the thing about that, I don't lead with my accomplishments of what I've been through in life, but I notice that when I'm in conflict with people, they lead with that. Oh, you think you can say something because you did this, because you did that? I didn't even say that. I just said the decisions you're making are not going to yield the results that you think they're going to do. So, but when they communicate and respond that way, you know what was already in their heart. They're looking for ways to discredit. They're looking for ways to see if they can get you to compromise or to stop being who you are. And if you stop being who you are, then they win. And this is not us versus them or you versus them type mentality. This is survival of the fittest. I was reading this book in Nature, and it says everything in creation is in survival mode. Because there's a predator that's bigger than it that's trying to eat it. You got snakes that's trying to eat worms. You got everything, predators, coyotes, whatever it may be, trying to eat chickens. And you got everything. The trees themselves, although you may not think they're living, these are living organisms. These trees here, when it rains, those roots are in a survival mode. They're trying to get as much water to replenish itself, but that tree is in competition with these trees because there's only a finite amount that's coming down. And if this tree doesn't go into survival mode and spread its roots out wide so it can get the maximum potential to try to get as much water as possible, then the tree dies. So even these trees are in competition. So you got to understand that. But it's a matter of survival. And if you're going to survive just being one-on-one, then you're going to have to understand that there's some parts of the journey that you may walk alone. And it's a difference between walking alone and being lonely. And just because you walk alone don't mean you have to be lonely, because you can love yourself. And I used to have a saying, I still have a saying when I was going through my self-care journey: love yourself enough that even if no one else loves you, you still have enough love. I'll say that again. Love yourself enough that even if no one else loves you, you still have enough love. Do not enter in relationships at a deficit. When you enter in relationships at a deficit, then you put somebody else in control of your emotions, your outcome, and stuff of that nature. But if you come into a relationship fully healed and whole, then what they bring to you is going to put you in overflow. But if you enter it as a deficit, now you emotionally dependent. You may be financially dependent on people and their emotions and what they feel like you should have versus what you desire to have, because they may have a different interpretation of what they want to give you versus what you want. So don't enter into relationships at an emotional deficit. You got to enter it whole, and you're going to have to do some work to become whole, because the people around you are trying to put you in a box. They knew you back in 3rd grade. They seen you in 6th grade. They see you when you graduated high school, but they still haven't let you grow up. And you've been out of high school, at least for me, been out of high school 30 years. So embracing being one-on-one, you're going to have to understand, like, some people won't love you like you love them. And it's not to get you to stop loving people, because the greatest commandment, love Yahuwah with all your heart, your mind, and your soul. And the second is like in the first is like love your neighbor as yourself. So we are commanded to love, but sometimes we have a fallen ideal of love. We don't really understand what love is. Love is patient. Love is kind. It doesn't keep record of wrongdoing. So when people start keeping record of wrongdoing, they're not operating in the Yali love. They're operating in the fallen state of love. And when these people walk away, there's no need to go beg. There's no need to throw shade on Facebook or on social media. There's no need to go and just kind of spread it out. You just have to make a mental note. And when they start making these comments, you'll start seeing it. They'll start making jokes, and some of their jokes will start to be pointed at something in your personality. Some of the jokes will start being pointed at what they perceive to be a fault. And they'll start little subtle. So you got to start watching those subtle things. And I'll give you a rebuttal, just like, hey, what do you mean by that? Hey, I don't think that's funny. And people are like, oh man, you take things too serious, and they're gonna try to once you onto them, they're gonna try to camouflage. Oh man, you take things too seriously. I didn't mean it that way. Like, yeah, but I'm trying to live the highest version of myself, and I want to identify with the highest version of myself, and that's not attached with it. So, and you're gonna have to start learning how to defend yourself, even if you have to be by yourself. I would rather you be 100% 10-toe down and embracing one-of-one than to get into a crowd and just trying to blend in. When you're on this journey, and the fact that you're watching this video, I know you're on this journey because not too many people are watching these videos, because there's only a remnant that's going to understand what I'm saying, because they've been going through it. They don't know how to articulate it, but I'm trying to put a voice to those things that's going on in your head. You're going to have to identify these things, and when you start to make these corrections, you're going to understand. You're going to have to understand that you correcting them may cost you that relationship. You not correcting them would allow them to stay and allow them to pretend like they on your side and in a relationship with you. But the reality of the mind, they're going to come up with another thing down the line. So I have to correct things while they're small, because small things become big. I have a saying that I don't make mountains out of molehills, but at the same time, I don't want a molehill to grow into a mountain by me ignoring it and acting like it didn't happen when I know that there's a potential for that to be interpreted. I'd rather ask that question. Questions are not indictments against you, allegations are. So if you can't handle a question, then I don't think we're going to be friends long. I don't know if we're going to be able to communicate, because if you're the one that wants to know it all and be in charge all the time, man, then, and I can't have a question without you being offended, then yeah, we're probably not going to be in a relationship too long. At the same time, I'm still in my mind and asking my heart when people ask me questions. So making sure that I'm solid on what I'm standing for, and making sure what I'm standing on is scripture, because I'm not standing on my own emotions, because emotions are fickle. They'll be good today and you'll be down tomorrow. So if you're depending on feeling good or making sure that everything is in the ideal state, then you're probably not going to be consistent. So embracing being one-on-one, everybody will not love you like you. But love yourself. Shalom, shalom. You notice how I just jumped into that video like I ain't been gone? Take note of that. Holla at you. Hallelujah. Your favorite Aki out.